Hey, I'm back. Quick little addition here because I just re-watched the video while editing it and realized that I said I was going to talk about something and then didn't. Um, and it's the impact that Ghost in the Shell had and why it's such an important one, and kind of probably another reason as to why people are so uh, upset about this is Ghost in the Shell came out in 1995. At the time, um, anime wasn't a big thing in America. Uh, Ghost in the Shell was the first animated movie to hit Billboard #1. Uh, it pulled anime over into America after that. Like it was kind of a thing. Like there was Speed Racer and Voltron and like Akira and stuff like that, which Akira had some success in its own right, but nothing yet had the kind of success for an anime movie that Ghost in the Shell had. It was groundbreaking. It showed people, a lot of people, that anime could be more than just robot fights and fast cars and kiddie stuff. It showed that this this medium could be used to delve into some deep, really really thoughtful subject matter. It could be more adult and stuff like that. It really legitimatized, or is that the word I'm thinking of? I think so. Legitimatized uh, anime for an entire generation. Um, it's a very, very, very important series, an important movie, and just important uh, IP for these reasons. So people hold them, they cherish them, like because they are important for fan base and just what that movie did for anime in general in America. Love it or hate it, it did this. Like this is one of those things I said kind of bother me in the fact, but I'm not saying you have to feel this way about it, but love it or hate it, there is literally no denying that this movie paved the way for like the Toonami block on Cartoon Network and just things like America getting anime in general and like having limited releases in movie theaters and stuff. Like Ghost in the Shell is the reason for that, and we as fans care about it for that. On top of just the fact that we love it as a movie and that we, you know, care about the characters, what it did for anime as a whole, very, very important. Um, so that was the point that I alluded to, and I said I was going to get to it later, then I completely blanked on. Another thing um, is on the topic of casting white characters as anime or white actors as anime characters. Uh, I kind of mentioned this, but it really depends on like if I'm gonna get mad or not. Aside from change everything, is if you're following the source material. Like I mentioned with Edward and Full Metal Alchemist, the character is German or close enough to German because it's a fictional universe, but he's meant to be portrayed as a white person, so you can cast a white person in that role. You can also take, let's say, another anime, Noir. There's another anime that came out where it's set in France and the characters are French. You could cast a white woman to play Muriel in that, and no one would care because the character is supposed to be French. She's supposed to be a white woman. Um, uh, the one of the other main ones that they were actually talking about doing was a Cowboy Bebop movie, and they were gonna have Keanu Reeves, somebody I just said I did not want to see in Akira. They were gonna have him play Spike Spiegel, which I would be absolutely fine with because all we know about Spike Spiegel is that he was born on Mars. So you can technically cast whatever nationality you want as that, because all we know from the character bio is he's from Mars. Could be anybody. Um, So, like that's it. But with this character, with Motoko, she's Japanese. She's from Japan. Do the right thing, cast the right thing. And another argument that I keep seeing um, is, well, you're outraged about this, but you're not outraged whenever they make white characters black or white characters Asian or blah blah blah. And the fact is, look at the internet. Yeah, we are. I mean, did you not see the outrage whenever they cast a black Human Torch? Did you not see the outrage whenever it was rumored that Spider-Man might be black? And let me go on record here and say, I would have been fine with that on the condition that they actually did Miles Morales. Now, if they made Peter Parker black, I'd be upset, because Peter Parker is a white kid. Miles Morales is a black kid. Cast a black kid to play Miles Morales if you're going to put Miles Morales in a movie, and I would love to see Miles Morales in a movie. Love it. But you'll see people outraged about it because they're bullshitters and they don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about. They go, it's Spider-Man. He's supposed to be white. It's like, well, clearly you haven't been reading Spider-Man, because Miles Morales is a character in the comics who is a black guy who is completely separate from Peter Parker. He should be black. It's the way it is. Um, right now, outside of comics and anime, they just cast, I believe, Idris Elba to play Roland in The Dark Tower. And yeah, people are pissed. You cast a white or a black guy to play a white guy in a story that has, like, there's a lot of stuff in that story that actually it matters what race they are, because like there's a black character in the book named Odetta, that there's a lot of racial tension between them, because Roland he's never been around black people before. He's a dumbass about it. There's a lot of weird racial tension there, and it doesn't work right if it's two black people. Like, it just doesn't. So, you gotta understand when it's okay to make these casting choices and which ones you're doing. And by making some of these casting choices, what it makes me and other fans fear, even if we don't realize it right off the bat, is by making these choices, we go, the person doing this, the people in charge of this, they don't know or respect the source material. They're just doing it for a paycheck. I mean, that's like why. I mean, I can talk about my problems with Marvel movies because I have them. Like, I think it was complete bullshit what they did to the Mandarin in Iron Man. I think it was. I think it's weird that they're. Now that I know, I think it's weird that they're casting a white woman to play an Asian man in Doctor Strange. Like, I if I remember correctly, the character of the Spectre in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which the entirety of that movie is complete and utter bullshit, but I believe the Spectre was originally a white girl and they cast a black man to be him. Um, like, we do have problems with this, and saying we don't is bullshit and dishonest or just ignorant. It's one of those two things. You either don't know, so you're ignorant, and that I'm not trying to insult you by that. That's the definition of the word ignorant, is you don't have the information. Or it's dishonest. It's either you don't know or you do know and are lying about it. But yeah, like, we do have problems with this, and all that it matters to me. Like, I keep seeing outrage right now that I think is unfounded of them casting a white guy to play Iron Fist. Danny Rand, Iron Fist, is a white guy in the comics. No outrage here. He's supposed to be white. It's another story where the storyline, a lot of the points hinge on the fact that he's white. He's a white guy who was trained by Asians. And there's a racial tension there. There's a lot of Asians, whenever it's going on, that treat him unfairly and treat him poorly because he isn't Asian. That doesn't work as well if you have an Asian playing him. If you have Asians mistreating an Asian for not being Asian, doesn't work. Just doesn't. Like, so, you really gotta look at the source material, and you actually have to make sure you know what the fuck is going on before you make these casting choices. And to suggest that we don't get upset whenever it's white person getting changed, you're just wrong. Like, you are. Look at the internet. Where have you been? We are outraged about this. It bothers us every time it happens. The only reason it didn't right off the bat outrage me about Doctor Strange is because I didn't know. Doctor Strange isn't one of the characters that I have the information on. I was ignorant. Now that I know, it does bother me. It's very simple. If I know that it's going on, it bothers me. It's something that shouldn't be happening. Last thing I'll talk about is another point people are making out on the internet about this, and it's like, well, no one got outraged whenever the Japanese live action of, like, Attack on Titan came out, and it was all Japanese actors, even though that was supposed to be set in, like, a weird alternate Europe with, diverse cast of different races. And what I'll say about that is, yeah, it's weird. But, and here's why I don't get angry about that. And it's 3 reasons. Or maybe 2. I don't know. I'll tell you later. It's 1, I don't live in Japan. I'm not Japanese. It's not the country I am a part of. Me getting outraged about it in America isn't going to change anything. Um, Hell, by the time we usually hear that something is coming out, it's already made in Japan. Like, by the time we hear about a new anime, it's like a week away from airing in Japan, and maybe a year away from airing here. Aside from now, they have a good amount of simulcast, which is awesome. But by the time we heard about the live-action Attack on Titan movie, it was almost done. Like, there was nothing we could have done. 2, the film industry in Japan is nowhere near as large, as powerful, as profitable, as diverse as the film industry in America. In America, they can spend $10 million to hire an actor. In Japan, that same movie, the entire budget for the whole movie probably won't be $10 million because it isn't a huge industry over there. Japan doesn't have Hollywood. They don't have this multi-billion-dollar, machine that America has. America can do things like, hey, we need an Asian guy, and we're not happy with any of the Asian actors we currently have in America. Let's pay to get a guy from Japan, beat Takeshi and Ghost in the Shell. Let's pay to get him on a plane, move him here for the duration of filming, and do stuff like that. Japan doesn't have that luxury. We can't treat it the same. It's just the way it is. But in America, we do. We live very luxurious lives. We have it good. And I mean, I don't want to be the check your privilege guy, but we are privileged, especially whenever it comes to bullshit. Like, we cannot hold a country to the same standards as us, especially on shit like this, because it's like we are so privileged that we can blow billions of dollars on entertainment when other countries are struggling to survive. So yeah, I hold us to a higher standard for that. I think it's fair to do so. But yeah, Japan, their film industry is not at all the same. They don't have the option to, just cast a bunch of white people because there isn't an abundance of white people over there. There's not an abundance of white actors. There just isn't. There just isn't. Like, it's the same thing as, like, saying Japan should be casting white actors is like being like, well, that poor homeless guy should just buy a house. He literally can't. They literally can't. Like, if that's your argument, I hate to say it, man, but you're stupid. Okay, well, that's my short little follow-up. I'll probably just put this in a different video instead of tacking it onto the other one, because then that video will be over an hour. But yeah, so short follow-up to some of the points I forgot to mention. Yeah, I don't know. Man, some of these arguments are just so ridiculous. Alright, see you later.